What is up, everyone? Thank you for tuning in. This is the Matt Ramage Show. I am joined today by someone very good. If I could find, all right, hang on a second. Stay with me, people. I couldn't find the overlay to turn it off, but I am joined by Clayton. But before we get into that, big shout out to Quick Trip, sponsoring the show. Quick Trip, dude, they have a new 3-cheese lasagna take-home meal or whatever they call it. I think it's it's not the hot meal. It's the one you take home to microwave. I'm gonna do a review on that. I'm gonna try that out. I love me some lasagna, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Good stuff. But we are joined today by Clayton. I don't know your last name.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to reveal it either. You're like, wanted by the mob or nothing like that.
No, yeah, I get a couple drinks deep and I forget my last name too, but it's Bailey. It's Bailey.
All right. Clayton Bailey from the Packernet Packers podcast. A lot of people know about Packernet Packers podcast. You probably listen to that one and not mine, but maybe you're watching this live. So, but he does great work over there. So be sure to check him out. And on the YouTube channel, I have the link to their website in the actually, I think on both. Anyways, here we go. We are here with Clayton. How you doing today, man? I was on yours not too long ago. Now you're over on mine.
Yeah. On me. Here we go.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm a little buzzed up.
On me. Listen, guys, we're both married. Everybody out there just understand. No, I'm doing good, man. Doing great. It's been a good day, man. It was spring-like weather down here in Tennessee, and man, it was awesome. We spent some time out on the deck. I'm sure it won't last long, but you were talking about Quick Trip, and I take a trip up to Green Bay every year, right? Once a year. And I typically, every year it gets a little bit colder trip for me. I go a little bit later in the season because I just want that Green Bay feel, And,
yeah,
I didn't know what Quick Trip was, right? Because I'm not from the area. And then when I realized what it was, somebody explained, I said, oh, it's like a Weigels. Down here in the South, we got a place called Weigels, right? It's like a local farm and they do all their own food at this service station. It's like, got everything you need. Dude, I went in a Quick Trip up there in Green Bay and I was like, no, this is different from Weigels. This hits different. Quick Trip is bomb, dude. It is awesome.
It is. It's like, especially like as that drunk spot, like back in the day. I mean, like I don't really go out and about when I'm drinking. I usually am in my house now because I'm old. Yeah. but Quick Trip it is the spot. Like if you're going home somewhere, whether it's Uber, whether you're like, yo, stop at Quick Trip, dude. I remember when I was at this thing for Quick Trip, like I was at this, I forget what event it was, but we went to Quick Trip. We had Uber stop at Quick Trip on the way back. I bought a whole pizza and I was walking through the lobby of this hotel, eating a full Quick Trip pizza. No, that was that Prime game, that Thursday night game I went to. Yeah. That wasn't Quick Trip. That was a different thing. But people in the lobby were just like, "What's going on?" This guy, I had a full pizza. I ate it all in the car. It was a good time. But anyways, yeah. Quick Trip never let you down.
Absolutely, man.
But anyway, so let's get on to this. We're going to talk about a little bit. Did you watch Pat McAfee show today?
I did. And as soon as I heard the comments, I went, boy, Twitter is going to be on fire today.
I didn't even watch it, but I started seeing the tweets roll in. I was going to watch it like when they break it down, they cut it up because I missed the full show.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I definitely saw the highlights on Twitter.
Yeah, for sure, man. And, I'll just give you kind of my take on it, Matt. I don't think there's ever been an athlete that's gotten more attention than Aaron Rodgers. Maybe it's just because we're Packer fans and we're kind of in the middle of it, but my goodness, man. Like, I told the guys in the chat with Packernet, I said, man, I know 3 people right off the top of my head who was actually recommended isolation therapy because they were dealing with PTSD and a couple other things. And it doesn't mean go off and live by yourself. It means, hey, look, let's remove all the noise around you and get refocused on what are you trying to accomplish to battle your PTSD or your addiction, whatever it may be. Now, obviously, Aaron Rodgers' case a little bit different, but it blows me away, man, how many people are constantly trumpeting on Twitter about mental health and get help and all this stuff. And then somebody talks about doing a specific therapy that they feel like helps them. And it's like, oh, look at this idiot. And it's like, what? Which side are you on here? Like, you know what I mean? Who cares what he does? That's what I don't understand, Matt. Like, don't get me wrong. It generates some funny memes, bro. There was some good stuff. And I'm all about laughing and having a good time, but it's amazing, man. I've never seen a football player, in my opinion, that's more polarizing. Maybe Antonio Brown for obviously way different.
Yeah.
But yeah, what did you think, man?
Well, because like I say, I didn't see the video. I just saw what was being said, that he said he's going to go dark for 4 days and 4 nights. And my thing was like, because I think I even mentioned it in a video I made earlier on YouTube. You should go subscribe. I said I don't know, I don't get it. Like I probably not for me, because like, first of all, I'm afraid of the dark. But I said, but like I don't judge. Like whatever you got to do, you ain't hurt nobody. I don't care what anybody does.
Right.
You ain't hurt nobody. Like go do whatever you got to do to get right, whether it's to make a decision or to play a game or to do your job, whatever. I don't care what people do. It's definitely something because I saw people on Twitter talking about it, like it's a real thing or whatever. Like you just, I didn't know that, but like
Right.
I think Rodgers is a smart dude. Like people talk trash. Like I get it, because like it is what it is. But Rodgers is like not a dude. He doesn't say a word without knowing what that word's gonna mean.
Yeah.
He knows what he's saying. He's putting stuff out that he wants to put out. So like obviously it's something he researched, whatever he's done before, maybe. But whatever you do, you do.
Who cares? Hey,
yeah, dude, it ain't gonna mess with my life.
If he's still spinning that pigskin, bro, hey, do what you got to do, man. As long as it's not hurting anyone else. It's funny though. I had some guy that he's like mid to late 20s, and he's like, "What an idiot!" And I'm going, bro. If you're anything like I was in my mid 20s, I was a moron. Okay, first of all. Now that may not be you, but you've got a guy who has been the best at what he does. He's been to the top of the mountain, right? He's done all of these things. He's a multi-millionaire. He's part owner of the Milwaukee Bucks. But a 28-year-old kid is going to try to convince me that Aaron Rodgers is a moron for trying. I'm like, I don't know, bro. You got way more self-confidence than me. That's all I got to say. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I'm still a moron. Like even if I'm not, like I stopped like a year and a half ago.
Right.
That's how I feel like. Yeah, but like, yeah, because like I don't know, because like the whole thing, like with the other thing, I still don't know what that is that he did that day. The hallucinogen or whatever it was. But like even then, I was like, I don't care, because that's why I barely talked about it on my podcast. Because like first of all, I don't know what he's even doing, and I don't really care enough to like look into it. Because I just don't care. Like what players do in the offseason, like I don't care. Like you're not bothering anyone. Like as long as they're not like, beating people up and like
OJ Simpson in it.
Yeah, like robbing banks and like slashing throats or nothing. Like then I might have an opinion. Like, hey, mister, you can't be doing all that.
Exactly. We're on the same page with that, man.
Yeah, I tell you, do what you do. But let me ask you this, all right? The hard-hitting question.
All right, here we go.
If you're the GM of the Packers, what are you doing with I wouldn't say what are you doing, because like it has to do with more than one person, but do you want Aaron Rodgers back?
Yeah, if I'm the GM, I say absolutely. And the reason being is because so many people have forgotten just how messy that was with Brett Favre, right?
Yeah.
And it's obvious that Mark Murphy didn't want it on his resume that you ran Brett Favre out of town and you ran Aaron Rodgers out of town. Now, listen, as far as Brett Favre, that seems to be like a bad word right now. I understand why. I get it. There's a lot of stuff going on there. But I always tell people, hey, when somebody's proven guilty, I get it. You know what I mean? I understand why people would be sensitive. I'm someone who grew up on welfare. Like my when I was born, we lived in the housing project. So welfare is something that's like really, really hits home with me. And if the accusations are true, then, hey, man, that's about as low as it gets. With that being said, Mark Murphy had that on his resume already, right? Because he kind of come in on the tail end of that breakup. And some people would blame Ted Thompson. Some people would blame Mike McCarthy. Nonetheless, Mark Murphy was the one who flew down to Mississippi and offered that money and said, hey, look, just stay away, right? And it puts kind of a little tarnish on his legacy, if you will. So now you got Aaron Rodgers. If you run him out of town too, man, that's starting to look kind of bad, right? So if I'm the GM from Brian Gutekunst's standpoint, obviously he's gotten marching orders from his boss, Mark Murphy, and rightfully so. That's how the organization's structured. I look at it from a sense of who gives you the best shot to win football games, period, case closed.
Yeah.
Now, I am of the opinion that Aaron Rodgers can still play. It's amazing, Matt. I'm still blown away. I hear podcast after podcast and tweet after tweet. People talking about he's washed up, he's done. And I'm like, and they talk about the down year. They never mention that the receivers led the league in drops, and they never mention he was playing with a freaking broken thumb, bro. Like, Jesus, what are we talking about? So from my standpoint, it's, hey, if he wants to play one more year and retire as a Packer, you kind of seal that legacy up. Now, Aaron has went above and beyond, in my opinion, with his latest comments. I'm going to turn it back over to you. He said that, hey, look, if they do trade me, if we do part ways, it's no hard feelings. So he's really did them a favor by the comments.
He kind of opened a door for it. And because he definitely did. He made it easier. Like for me, like I'll just be real. Like as a fan, like I want Aaron Rodgers back. I don't want Aaron Rodgers to wear another uniform. And I know people in the comments are gonna go wild right now and probably unfollow me and block me and like slice my tires. But like that's just what it is. I didn't want Brett Favre to either. And now Brett Favre, my opinion on him is a lot different. Mm-hmm. But like Aaron Rodgers, but there's also a factor of Jordan Love. So like I want the best for the Packers. Mm-hmm. So like but like it is though, who is the best quarterback next year?
Yeah.
And I think that's Aaron Rodgers. I think Jordan Love, like if Rodgers retires or if he does get traded, I think Jordan Love, like they think that he's ready. He's as ready as he's going to get, like to start. He might have stumbles and stuff, but like he's ready. Like if he needs to play, like it's time. Yeah. So like, but like I don't know that I want Aaron Rodgers back or I don't want him back because like whatever happens, I'm cool with. I mean, I'd rather not trade, but if he retires, I'd be like,
absolutely,
I'm good. Go all in on Jordan Love. But I don't know. But like as a fan, like dude, I think it's cool that players don't wear another jersey. I think it's cool that Donald Driver did it. Like Brett Favre, I think with the Jets, though, I didn't really care. When he went to the Vikings, it's a whole different thing. And then after his things got wild after that, you know what I mean?
But I've never celebrated so hard when he threw that interception against the Saints for the Vikings.
Oh yeah,
bro!
Dude, I lost friends over that. When Favre went to Minnesota, I lost a friend because he was a Favre guy, and on Facebook every day I would just troll Favre. Like there was a video of Brett Favre at practice for the Vikings, and someone like threw a football and it hit him in the junk.
I remember that.
He went on his knees, right? I'd post that on Facebook like 3 times a week. And this dude was like, you better stop posting that. That's not funny. I'm like, first of all, it's funny. Because like, even if I like a dude, if a joke's funny, like I've made jokes about Aaron Rodgers, like not like hateful stuff, but like if it's funny, it's funny. A dude getting hit with a football in the junk.
Yeah.
That's funny, bro.
It's hilarious.
And especially when he plays for the team I hate the most. You know what I mean? So, anyway.
Say, Matt, one more thing about the Aaron Rodgers thing. When it comes to Jordan Love, and this is what I tell all the fans, and there may be a lot of people in the chat, like you said, that's like, man, no, we need to turn the page to Jordan Love. If you can tell me that Jordan Love is just as good as Aaron Rodgers right now, trade Aaron. I want what's best for the Packers. But no one will say that. It's, well, we won't know until we play him. And then next thing you know, we're the Chicago Bears for 30 years, right? And it's like,
real.
And here's the thing, too. If Jordan isn't the guy, those same people will freak out if with the number 15 pick, they take a top-tier quarterback that they feel like is the top quarterback in the draft.
They were like, oh, no, that was a wasted pick.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know more than the front office. I don't pretend to. But at the same time, man, I love when people can respectfully disagree. And it's the only way you can learn and grow is people with differing opinions to point something out to you and go, I didn't look at it that way. Right. But now the people that come at you and like, you're a moron, you're an idiot, block, get out of here, dude. I ain't got time for your crap.
Yeah, for real. Well, I talk a lot of trash and I get a lot of trash talk to me. But like what I do is a little different because like I expect it, like I know, and I like it. I don't ever make it personal though. Like you said, I don't ever call people idiots and like, oh, you're stupid because you don't agree with me. I just explain to them that I am very much right. Actually, I don't. My whole thing is like so basic. Like the Vikings suck. Why? Because they do. Don't ask questions.
I know. I can agree with that. No, nobody can convince me otherwise.
All right. Let's check out some of these comments here. We got some good ones floating around. Rodgers need to take a pay cut if he stays. So what do you think about that? All right, because he made a comment on the Pat McAfee show, I think a few weeks ago, whatever it was, about I think his wording was like some things would have to change with the contract, something like that. Because restructure, a lot of people don't realize, like they don't need to ask the player to restructure. Like they can restructure, like put money out. There's no different. Money is not different. It's just different time or whatever. I'm not a contract guru at all, but I think that's right. So, but like, do you think that there's any chance anything happens with that if you would happen to stay?
I'm going to pull his contract up real quick, actually, from Spotrac. If I can get my computer to stop acting wacky, it may not work here, but I'm going to give it a shot because I don't want to get the numbers wrong. He could do that. Yeah. Now, should he do that? I don't think he should. I mean, I'm one of those guys that like, player, get what you can get, right? I mean, that's just the way I see it.
Yeah.
Now, there's an options aspect, an optional aspect to the contract, right? The way this contract is structured here in 2023 is the base salary is 1.1 million. Your typical restructures, Matt, the way they do it is they take the roster bonus, which is due to the player week 1 of the season. They make the roster. They're on the 53-man roster week 1. Then they get that lump of money, right? The way his contract is structured is he doesn't have a roster bonus listed. Now, it's not listed for a reason. No one truly knows every aspect of this contract. And this is what I'll say. The reason I know that, Matt, is because the Andrew Brandt podcast, Business of Sports, he had Mark Rodgers, which is Russell Wilson's agent, on that podcast. And they were trying to break down the contract. And they were talking about how Russell Wilson's agent, Mark Rodgers, was negotiating his contract. And when Aaron's deal got dropped before they finished theirs and finalized it, they said, this is an outlier. I don't know what made Aaron do the contract the way he did. I'm sure he's got his own reasons. That's not in the sense of, I don't know why he's trying to rip the team off. He was saying, like, Aaron left a lot of money on the table, right? And the way it's structured, they both agreed, I don't know what this contract is from an optional standpoint, right? No one does. This is their words. This isn't the redneck from Tennessee Packer fan, right? I'm saying this. This is Mark Rodgers, super agent, and Andrew Brandt, who spent his entire life in professional football.
Yeah, Andrew Brandt is one of the most, to me, the most respected person. When he says something, like, even if I disagree, I be like, I start...
Yeah.
Maybe, I got to rethink. And he's probably the only person that makes me do that because I'm ignorant. I think I hear 12 people say something different. I'm like, nah, they're all
right. So the way this works is you can tell that the way the contract was structured, you can take the base salary and the roster bonus, you can convert it to signing bonus and then spread it out over a multitude of years. Ian Rappaport talked about this on the McAfee show when the contract first dropped. They said it's a unique way to keep Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay for the duration of his career. That was the original comments made. And they said that they could spread this out over a multitude of years. And he made it sound as if it could be 5 years. So what they're talking about doing is tacking on voidable years on the backside. If, again, we don't truly understand the contract. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I don't. And anybody on Twitter, these cap gurus that say they do, say, are you 100% sure? And they'll never agree to that, right? Because they're not 100% sure. No one is. If those top executives don't know, how in the hell do we know, right? So when you look at his contract, there's no roster bonus listed. The base salary is a minimum of 1.1 million. There's a signing bonus of 12.9, but the options of the bonus is 14.5. The dead cap attached is 99 million is what it says for 2023. What they did, Matt, was they went to Aaron on their hands and knees and begged him to come back. And they said, listen, we will prove to you we're not going to trade you. We'll prove to you that we're not going to cut you, because if we do, we're going to have to front the bill for $99 million in cap in 2023. So that's what makes me think he's going to come back. So now back to answer your question, can they do something that's cap friendly for the team? To the best of my knowledge at this point, I would have to say I don't know. Right now, you may see something. He made it sound as if they could rework a deal, redo the deal. I'm not going to say tear the deal up, because the guaranteed money is the guaranteed money, but they may be able to do, say 5 dummy years on the backside and extend some of that out and keep a minimum base salary. So the cash is still due. But yeah, I wish I had a straightforward answer on that. But again, if Mark Rodgers doesn't have an answer and Andrew Brandt doesn't have an answer, bro, come on.
Clayton ain't got an answer either.
I'm in the landscaping business, right? That's what I do for a living. I run it, I operate that. Like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I understand the X's or the ins and outs of contracts. So.
Yeah, but whenever people talk about like a player should take a pay cut, and like I get it because you're a fan of a team, you want a player to take a pay cut and help your team get a whatever. But like, to me, like I see the players like as workers, just like everyone else is a worker. So like when they're taking pay cuts, they're just helping the owners. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't do that at my job. And I get it. They make a lot more money and they're comfortable. And Aaron Rodgers, if he never makes another dollar, he's going to be all right. But like, I would never ask a worker to like take less money from, because you're the worker. You're the reason that shit's getting done. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. And the other thing too, that gets brought up all the time is the Romeo Dobbs comments, which Romeo Dobbs did nothing wrong in his comments. He answered the question and they teed it up and they really went in to try to drum up some drama. You could tell by their reaction. That's my opinion. People can disagree. That's okay.
Yeah.
But the thing that I posed to everyone who was complaining about Aaron Rodgers not spending extra time with Romeo Dobbs, I'm like, how often do you guys hang out with your coworkers that are 20 years younger than you? Like I don't. I know I don't. So I can't. How can I be mad at the guy? Like I don't want to hang out with the people outside of my wife. I don't want to hang out with people in general. Like, and they're wanting you to
Yeah.
learn. What are you going to do? Play? And that's what Aaron said. Am I going to sit around and play video games with them? Like, what am I?
Yeah, like what are you supposed to do? Because like I work at a cheese factory and I drive. It's a very small town, like 400 people in the town I work at. So I drive through town. People at the bar, you know, people can be out there waving me in, like I'll buy you a beer. I keep her moving, you know. I ain't hanging out with nobody from my job, and I like the people I work with. I mean, there's times that I have, but I'm just saying is like I don't hang out with people.
Yeah,
I come home and I talk to my camera.
yeah. Pretend like
That's
you
what
were
I
on the
do.
other side.
I got a wife too I talk to. But yeah, I want to skip a little Rooney because I saw someone in the comments bring it up, and Aaron Jones.
Mhm.
All right. So Aaron Jones, I think he's like, especially like this season, like he was that dude. He didn't get the ball as much as he should have, but he was like the guy that should have got the ball every time. So what do we think? Because I saw a lot of speculation about his future in Green Bay. I don't know. So I'm going to ask you. So what do you think?
Absolutely. Aaron Jones. It's real simple for me. Aaron Jones was the best offensive player for the Green Bay Packers last year, even better than Aaron Rodgers. Now, we know Aaron Rodgers had a broken thumb, banged up cartilage on his ribs. All those things came into factor. The receiving core was young and developing, and which I think they're going to be great long run. But, man, you got to take those bumps and bruises. But when it comes to Aaron Jones, he is the most talented player on that offense. Why do we want to get rid of the best player? Well, it's because of salary cap. Okay, let's talk about the salary cap. In 2023, and this is going to be a great example of what I tried to explain with Aaron, but the numbers aren't listed. When it comes to 2023, Aaron Jones' salary is $8.1 million. His roster bonus is $7.4 million. Okay. His overall cap hit for this year is $20 million. Guys, that's high for a running back. I completely agree. But you got to take into consideration when they sign him to that deal, they're also thinking Aaron Jones is going to catch a lot of balls. He kind of doubles as a receiver to a certain extent, right? And they want to pay him accordingly. So it's amazing how we're so quick, not you, Matt, not your listeners, but just people in general, are so quick to spend other people's money. It just cracks me up, right?
Yeah.
That always blows me away. But you can take the $8.1 million in salary, you can take the 7.4 in roster, and you can convert that to signing bonus and then spread it out over the duration of the contract. They've already got 2 dummy years on the backside of his contract for 2025 and 2026, where it's just tying up $770K. So they put themselves in a position to maximize this. If you cut him loose, yes, you could free up $9.5 million, but you lose your best offensive player. That means you're going into tank mode. And I don't buy into that. I don't. People forget the injuries last year. They pretend like, okay, you have one down year, flush it, let's start the franchise over, that type of thing.
Yeah.
I don't subscribe to that. So to answer your question, I think it makes all the sense in the world to keep Aaron Jones this year. And then next year, this is what's cool. They structured it in a way that 2023, his cap hit is the highest. So it actually goes down from 20 million to 16 million next year. And then he's off the roster when he turns 31. So, and that's if he doesn't continue to play at a high level and they want to bring him back. So my opinion is bring him back, man. That's one of those things that when I talk about the money you could restructure for Aaron Jones, I think a reasonable number would be $8 million that you could restructure, tack on the backside over the course of 3 years, and you could free up that $8 million this year and get you a little closer to that $18 million deficit. So that's where I see it anyway.
When you were talking, when I almost started to laugh, is because I was listening to you and I was like, I don't know what the hell this dude's talking. Like the numbers were just like I missed some of them, and I was like, oh, now it's done. Now I don't.
I'm sorry.
I'll have to watch this one.
Essentially,
I didn't mean it like bad by you. Just like that, my own brain was like, yeah, you're lost, bud. You don't know what he's talking about.
And there was a time when I was the same way. There's 3 numbers you want to focus on with these restructures. You've got base salary, and you've got roster bonus. Those can be converted to signing bonus. Therefore, that total signing bonus number can now be spread out over the duration of the contract. That's really the most important aspect.
All right. I kind of get it now. And I think that's good because most people don't know. I know because my comments, like my Facebook comments are just me not knowing anything with like 80% of my audience knowing about the same amount. And then some other people schooling all of us.
What's cool is like there's been so many listeners to my podcast, so many people I interact with on Twitter and YouTube comments, all that stuff. I absolutely love the fact that they reach out and they point things out to me, and it's an opportunity for me to learn from them. I don't want it to come across like, oh man, I've got this all figured out.
Just because you have a podcast doesn't mean that you're all knowing.
No. And we're all growing and learning.
Oh yeah, because I don't know much.
Yeah.
Like I literally always say, as I say, I am probably the podcast, like the biggest podcast with a host that knows less than his listeners.
But let me tell you something though. You're also one of the only podcasts that don't take themselves too serious, and you have a freaking blast. And that's
that's what it's all about.
It's infectious, man. I'm telling you, it's McAfee.
About
this is the McAfee show version for Packer fans. I really feel like that because you're just cutting up, having a good time. You don't take anything too serious, and I love the fact that Pat McAfee is being sarcastic 90% of the time, and people don't even catch it. And they literally go on Twitter like, he's a moron. Look at this idiot. And Pat's just giggling in the background with 60,000 people watching live, right? It's like
I do that too. Like I'll just like leave a comment somewhere, just kind of like let it float out there. And then like come back and just got like 800 likes on it on Facebook because like I said, the stupidest thing. And people are, and like 400 comments, people telling me like they hope like my next child is like whatever. Which
I believe it, bro. I believe it. My biggest thing that I get because the accent is I give out my email, and that's a way for me to communicate with people that want questions answered over the air. And the biggest thing, they hear my accent and I'm inbred. That's the number one go-to.
Oh, I know. Yeah. You're from the South.
Yeah,
hey, I'd probably go there too if I had to. No, but Wisconsin gets that same thing. And it's like weird because it doesn't even make sense. But like people just start saying something because like, even the cheesehead, the actual Packer cheesehead was invented because people in Illinois would call us like cheeseheads, like we're stupid cheese, whatever. And it was actually, I think it started with the Brewers and then it went on with the Packers, became a big thing with the Packers. But like, that's not really the same as what we were talking about, but like,
no, I understand what you're saying though. It's like, I mean, I didn't even know that. So they used it as kind of a derogatory comment, and y'all were like, okay, hell with it. We're cheeseheads. Let's roll with it. Put them on our head. Let's go.
Yeah. It's the same thing. Like if you live in a certain place, they're going to go to that thing. Like you live in the South, for anyone in the North, that's a go-to. Not really for me. I don't really argue people in the South because dude, they are strapped, bro. I ain't about to argue with someone on the internet. I know it's from Alabama. Like they got a truck and a rifle. You know what I mean? I
one of the first times I went live on YouTube with Ryan, I almost got kicked off because I broke out one of my rifles right on there, and he was like, chill out, calm down. Like we hunt food down here. That's what we do. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't come on the property, please. But
dude, want to know what the funniest thing that remind me of? On TikTok, there's this guy named Nate who like lives off the land. Not really off the land because he has whatever. He has power, he's a gamer, whatever. But he was like telling a story about, he's just a really mellow guy, and he's like, if you run out of gas around here and you need help, walk up the road and usually someone will help you. He goes, if you see signs that say intruders are shot on sight, he's like, maybe just turn around and try another driveway.
Exactly.
It's like the funniest thing ever because it's true. Most people are nice, but like if you see one of those signs, that ain't the one. Anyways, let's keep moving with some Packers stuff.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the defense. What's this? No, first of all, I want to talk about the wide receiver situation because a lot of people talking about the Packers need a number one wide receiver. I see this comment all the time, but Christian Watson is that dude. Like, year two, like we'll see what he does. I'm not going to have crazy expectations where I think that he should be, Devontae Adams or whatever. But I think he's on that path. I'm not going to be Devontae Adams, but to be a very good wide receiver and be in that top, list of wide receivers. I think that's what you could expect from him. But like I say, I don't want to put too much pressure where it's like, oh, I expect him to be, Jerry Rice or anything. But I think he's going to be the number one wide receiver. I don't know like what next year the wide receiver room is going to look like. That's what I'm going to ask you. What are you thinking for next year for because Alan Lazard, situation, he's probably gone.
Right, yeah, I mean, it sounds like the rumors are, and I don't know if they're true. That started a whole war too, that people were having source offs of the fact that Alan Lazard is demanding 15 to 17 million per. I don't know if that's true or not. Would I pay that? Absolutely not. I think Alan Lazard is a solid number two. I made the incorrect assumption or evaluation thinking I think Allen Lazard could step into that number one role. I was wrong. I'll be the first to say it. It didn't manifest this year. But I will say this: as far as the wide receiver room, right now we have 5 on the roster, and I've got my notes here. You got obviously Christian Watson, you got Romeo Doubs, Samori Toure, you've got Cotton, and you got Bo Melton. Okay, so obviously those bottom 2 are just fillers at this point. Now one could make the roster, absolutely. So essentially you've got 2 slots open. Now you're going to let Allen Lazard test the market. You got to put a number on Allen Lazard and say, okay, we're willing to pay him $4 million per year, right? We're willing to pay him $7 million per year, whatever the number is, right? Let him go test free agency, see if he comes back with a better offer. If he does, then you got to kind of make that decision. Do we want to re-sign him or not? I'm assuming he'll get more. Not the 15 to 17, but I think he'll get more in free agency than the Packers are willing to give. I could be wrong, but that's just kind of my feeling on it. When it comes to Randall Cobb, everything hinges on Aaron Rodgers coming back. So if Aaron does return, you bring Randall Cobb back. Now you've got 4 receivers. A lot of people don't realize that Randall Cobb was actually the second highest graded wide receiver for the Packers, according to PFF in 2022. You bring him back. You've got your slot receiver there. Obviously, Amari Rodgers has now parted ways. Christian Watson's your number 1. Romeo Doubs could potentially be your number 2. I personally think right now Doubs is a number 3 receiver. He could be a number 2. I want him to be. I love the dude, love his personality, everything about him. The way that he worked on his hands and ball control, and the dude came out and really kind of lit it up there for a short stint, I think we may have something there. So essentially, if you bring Cobb back for a veteran minimum or right around that because he wants to play with Aaron if Aaron returns, this is all assuming 12 does come back, then you've got really 1 to 2 spots that are open. So who do you want to bring in? For me, it's all about that deal, man. It's all about that discount. We're shopping right now, guys. We're shopping in Uncle Clarence's section. You know what I'm saying?
Like rummage sales.
Bargain, right? So the cool thing is the wide receiver room, I believe, is the 5th cheapest in the entire National Football League on the Packers roster. So there is money to be spent there if you want to kind of allocate it per position. But I think Christian Watson will be a solid number 1. I think that Romeo Doubs could be a number 3. If we can go out and get a borderline 1/number 2 receiver, could be in the draft, could be in free agency, I think that would really help things out. But regardless, you've seen them start to turn the corner there towards the end of the year, and Christian Watson just, man, absolutely lit it up. Matt, that was exciting. Dude.
Yeah. Dude, I love me some Christian Watson. So is Christian Watson wide receiver 1 next year, or is it going to get pushed out 1 more year? Are they going to go get someone?
I think he's going to be the number 1 receiver, but the thing that I've had to really swallow my pride on, I've never looked at the receiver position as this crucial position. Maybe it's because we've always been spoiled, but when you look at the teams that made the playoffs this year, every one of them had number 1 receivers. Every single team did, right? I mean, even like in Miami, like how did Tua have such a good year, right? Well, they had Jalen Waddle, right, number 1 receiver, and Tyreek Hill, number 1 receiver. Right, you could go across the board. Philadelphia, look at Philadelphia. You got AJ Brown, number 1 receiver, right, and you've got Devonta Smith, number 1 receiver. Kansas City, Travis Kelce is just absolutely amazing at the tight end position. What I had to swallow my pride on is, you need at least 1 number 1 receiver. So go out and try to get another number 1 receiver. And I'm not saying with the first round pick. That's what cracked me up, what you said. So he was 2 picks into the second round. And oh my God, he's not a first-round pick. Like,
that's the thing. Like if Christian Watson would have the Packers would trade up in the first round or whatever. Like, oh, we got a first rounder, but no, he was picked early, like the second pick in the second round. That's not going to cut it, bud. That's
absolutely. Not. Yeah. So to answer your question, I think you go out and I would be willing to spend somewhere between maybe 7 to 10 million on a wide receiver. And really try to put in a second number 1 wide receiver, because the majority of the personnel you run, and when I say personnel, I'm talking about, the formational aspect or like on offense, let's say we ran a lot of 12 personnel. The majority of it, we ran 11 personnel, which means 1 running back, 1 tight end, which equals 3 receivers, right? So you want to have 3 receivers on the field at all times that are capable of making plays. Samori Toure may blossom into a great wide receiver as well. But if you go out and get another borderline 1, at least a number 2 receiver, now your starting receivers are going to be Christian Watson. Insert that new wide receiver that's a borderline starting caliber, and you've got Romeo Doubs in the number 3 spot. Now, I'm not suggesting Romeo Doubs should be a slot receiver, but just saying 3 receivers on the field with 11 personnel the majority of the time, that's going to make things go a lot further. And again, I'm blown away at how few people mention that we led the league in drops from our receivers, and they were young. I'm not trying to, throw them out to.
Oh,
to
yeah. You're not trashing them, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like,
But like
come
a
on,
fact's a fact.
you've got to take those things into consideration, man. They led the league in drops, so of course we can get better at that position. But to answer your question, I think it would be solid to go out and get a number 2, borderline number 1 receiver, and now's the time to do it because you're saving all that money with these draft picks in the wide receiver room already. I mean, Christian Watson's making, I don't even know how much he's making. I don't have his contract pulled up, but it's nowhere near.
It's not much more than me.
Yeah.
But but like as far as Alan Lazard is concerned, like if he wants that money, what was it, 17 million, 14 million? Was it?
Yeah, it was. I think they were reporting 15 to 17 million.
Yeah, 15 to 17 million. Like there is no way in any situation where I would pay him that money. I love me some Alan Lazard. I think he's a phenomenal blocker. He's a good wide receiver, but like he's not that dude. I mean, I don't mean no disrespect because he's a true and true. And then I didn't say that he's not that dude, but like on this team he's not. Maybe he goes up because MVS 10 million went to Kansas City. The Packers were going to pay that. Now I see Packer fans though. This is really funny right here. Let me get the solo shot of this one. Here we go. Let me talk about this real quick. Packer fans all last season and then the whole lots of seasons. We're trashing MVS, saying MVS, another drop, even if he get a touchdown. Oh, I'm surprised he didn't drop that one. All the drop jokes. Now he's in a Super Bowl. Why didn't they bring MVS back?
Yep.
Why is he not a Packer? Why is he in a Super Bowl? Oh, it was only 10 million. Oh, the Packers could have paid that. They need to fire everybody. Like, dude, the Packer fans are wild with this stuff. And I'm happy for MVS. He got his money. Yeah. I wasn't mad the Packers didn't retain him. I think it was they probably should have, and I even said it then, because of Devontae leaving, like both of them leaving, I think was a bigger issue than people give credit to this team, because I think MVS would have been huge this season.
Bro, but, I'm telling you, man, I was the one last season going, I don't think we're going to miss Devontae that much. I really don't. Bro, I was wrong. I was so wrong.
Oh, yeah, we definitely missed Devontae, but I think we missed MVS as well. Like if we'd have lost Devontae and kept MVS, I'm not saying MVS would have been Devontae, but he would have been another option because early on the Packers were like really struggling. MVS is like someone who had that situation with Rodgers and like knew the signals, knew what things were. I don't want to talk about the signals. That's not what I meant. I didn't mean to bring that one up. But I want to get to a few comments here. I pinned. Here we go. All right, what are we thinking? At tight end, Tunyon, Lewis, and there's actually another question here. Well, first of all, let's just answer this. What do you think about tight end for next year? It's Mercedes Lewis. He's getting up there in years. I think that his leadership is like worth like more than a few touchdowns. You know what I mean? So like his leadership, like in the locker room, everyone talks about it. I've had the other tight end. Oh, I forgot his name, but let's move on because I feel like I've disrespected his whole life.
No,
but I'm a little buzzed up, people. But everyone you talk to, they all talk about his leadership and what he means to them, and like everyone loves Mercedes Lewis. So I think if he wants to come back, you get him back. But I love me some Tunyon. I think that obviously I don't think that they're like interchangeable. Like we're like like they're not the same tight end or whatever. But I love me some Tunyon. And the next question over here, I'll lump these all as one for you. Tunyon, has he ever really healed from the injury? Because this season, like he wasn't the previous one, but like that season when he had that big year, I feel like they were making him get open. Like they were game planning for him. I'm not a film watcher, so I have no reason to think that. Just my gut, you know what I mean? So like I'm not sure. Last year was it injury? Were they just not trying to like force the ball? Not to say force it, because he was wide open a lot of times that big year. Yeah. But first of all, so what do you think that they're going to do at tight end, and what do you think about Tunyon and all that? What I just said.
Yeah, absolutely. So Brandy, you make a great point asking that question about Tunyon's injury, because I felt like you could see it. I felt like he wasn't 100% comfortable, and we sit on our couches. Not you, Brandy. I'm talking about me. The fat, out of shape.
I sit in chairs. I sit in a chair.
We sit around and pretend like, oh, come on, dude, get open. And I pull a butt cheek walking to the fridge to get another beer, right? So, but with Tunyon, you could kind of see that he was trying to work back from that injury. What the doctors say, and people don't truly understand, is the knee still feels hurt. Like when you come back that first year of the ACL, they say it still feels like it's going to snap. And the doctors have to reassure him, I promise you, it's not going to snap. I mean, it's very, very unlikely it's not going to snap. But you got this mental aspect of it feels like it's going to pop because your body's getting used to that foreign object, being inserted into that joint, right? So you've really got to, work to get past the mental aspect of that. With Tunyon, I think you've seen some of that. But I will say this. Mercedes Lewis, first of all, for the right price, absolutely bring him back. Bob Tunyon, for the right price, absolutely bring him back because you've only got one tight end on the roster. You've got Josiah DeGuara, and he's technically an H-back. He's not going to be the guy you want to line up attached. And what I mean by that is attached to the offensive line. You're not going to see him flexed out, that Y flex spot where he's in the slot flexed out. You're darn sure not going to see him on the boundary much, right? And those are the things that Rob Gronkowski could do. Those are the things that Travis Kelce can do. Those are the things that Dallas Goedert can do in Philly. And I want to point this out that tight end is so underappreciated in the league. And the reason I know this is look at the final teams in the playoffs, just like what I talked about with wide receivers. Look at Kansas City, Travis Kelce, right? They're playing in the Super Bowl, all-world tight end. And I know Travis Kelce's don't grow on trees. I get it. Move on to Philly. You got Dallas Goedert, right? Heck, even in Dallas, you had Dalton Schultz, right? In Cincinnati, who do you got? Hayden Hurst. You can name these guys, not that they're like world-class tight ends, but they're good enough that you know who they are. They're starting caliber tight ends. Last year, I feel like we really didn't have that. So I think it's something that should be focused on this year. Anybody who listens to my podcast, man, you know that with the draft number 15 pick, if Michael Mayer's there, right now I'm taking him. Why? Because you've seen him. First of all, his PFF grade was, I think, a 92.
You just ruined my whole next question.
Bro, I'm so sorry. But he was like, he's the hands down the highest graded tight end in all of college football last year, right? He's coming out after his junior year, so he's somewhat young. They call him Baby Gronk, right? He wears number 87. He's kind of built like Gronk. He's like 6'4", I think, 267, something. He's just a hoss. And what can he do? And this is the things that Greg Cosell, the great Greg Cosell from NFL Matchup, talks about all the time. These valuable tight ends are ones that can line up attached. They can line up in the Y slot, right, the Y flex, and they can also play the boundary X, meaning they can line up split wide receiver. He can do all those things. If he's there at 15 and they snatch him up, you plug him in as your starting tight end and mold everything around it. You bring back Tunyon that can play that flex spot a little bit more, and then Mercedes Lewis who can play attached as your extra blocker. You run 12 personnel with Mercedes Lewis and Michael Mayer from Notre Dame, bro. Sign me up. So I think it's a great question. I think Tunyon's still got some gas in the tank. And to answer Brandy's question, I think that the injury did play a role for sure.
Oh yeah, I definitely think the injury played a role. I think maybe they weren't working him in the offense as much, maybe because of the injury. Right. Whatever they're trying to like work him through it, it wasn't going so good. But so now I want to, we got a few minutes left here. I want to turn it towards you. All right. I always like to ask some. Actually, I don't, but I'm a little buzzed up right now. I ain't gonna lie to you. And first of all, that was DeGuara. All right, DeGuara. Big shout out to Brandy over here. Yeah. But that was DeGuara I had at my podcast, and he talked about Mercedes Lewis. One of my favorite little clips that I have is him talking about Mercedes Lewis, and then he's got one like he's from the town that Johnny Cash came from. Oh, such a good, and he was like telling us stories about it. And anyways. DeGuara is an awesome dude. He's he's probably one of the better people that I've ever talked to. Like just following my Instagram and kind of knowing like what he's about. Yeah. He seems like probably he's perfect. You know what I mean? He's just a good human, unlike some of us, not me, but other people. But all right. So what's your most embarrassing story? Do you have an embarrassing story? I asked Tom Crabtree this and the result was great. And it popped in my head. I should ask this guy that.
Y'all are about to get to know Clayton Bailey real good here.
All right, let me get you on the full screen, bro. Don't want to miss a minute.
This is my go-to, and it's funny because I was like in 4th grade when this happened. So, and it's going to give you some insight into how, as we say down here in Tennessee, we're raised, right? We're born and bred in Tennessee or Kentucky. I'm originally from Kentucky. It's even worse, right? I know. So, here's the deal: we took like these end of the year tests, right? These achievement tests, right? And I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I was 4 years older, didn't even know what the heck I was doing at the time. But evidently I scored kind of high on this test, right? So they pulled some of the highest scores out of the class. And they wanted to interview us. The school board wanted to interview us. They had the superintendent from the county school system. I went to public schools. Like I said, we were on welfare growing up. Free lunch. Hey, man, Dad was like, you better not miss school, bro. You getting 2 free meals there. You go to school. That's just how we were raised. So they take us in this room and they interview us, and they're, you don't know it at the time, but they're just asking questions. Well, my family, I come from a biker family. I'm not trying to promote this. I'm just telling you this is my background, okay? And I'm clean of this now. I got out on my own, but there was a lot of partying, a lot of drugs, a lot of things. It was normal for me to be 6, 7 years old at a field meet with 400 or 500 bikers in my dad's biker gang. He was the president of a biker club,
like Sons of Anarchy stuff.
What's that?
Like Sons of Anarchy.
It's funny.
I'm not trying to be
Everybody goes to that,
disrespectful.
and I'm like, bro, no, these bikers weren't that good looking, man. Like,
that's what I've always heard about that show. Like,
yeah, dude, bikers don't look and act like that. So anyway, I'm in this room with the superintendent and the county scoreboard, and they said, why do you think you scored so high on this test? And as a you kind of puff your chest out. You're like, man, I did good, all right. And I just repeated something that I had heard through my childhood. I looked him right in the eye and I said, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but you give me a rock and put me on the street, I'll make money. Dude, I had no idea what I was saying. I was just repeating what I'd heard.
Yeah.
Dude, it was hilarious. They were literally like this, man. They went, like, what did this kid just say? Like, yeah, that's right. I'm the top of the class. Welcome to the show here. So yeah, that's probably my most embarrassing moment. When I tell that story, people, it either gets a loud pop or they go, God love you. You were raised like that? That's horrible. Yeah.
That's how, hey, I'm from the north, Wisconsin. And like up, I was like grew up in Green Bay in the city or whatever, but now since forever I live up north where it's like, smaller towns or whatever. And we still consider you the South people. Like, that's not a surprise to us. Like that's kind of how we see it. And I don't mean no disrespect, but like I think the same thing with the South. Like, they have certain. Like, I don't think that everyone from my sister lives in the South. She lives in Texas, but like I know people from the South like through the internet and all that. But like that is like really like the stereotypical thing that's in the back of my head. Like from growing up, as people from the South. Everyone has.
Everybody's got those stereotypes. Like growing up in the South, like I said, I was born and raised in Kentucky, but I moved to Tennessee shortly after I got out of high school, and kind of got out on my own and got away from that whole, family setting there. But I always heard growing up, Matt, that like Northerners. I'm trying to think of the proper way to say this. I don't want to disrespect your show, but it's like they're a-holes, man. They're pricks. They don't care about anybody. They're selfish, this and blah, blah, blah. And lo and behold, I get out on my own. I'm like, man, I want to go see Yankee Stadium, bro. I got to go see Yankee Stadium.
Oh yeah, because they're talking about New York. Yeah.
So here's the crazy thing. We go to New York. They heard our accent and they treated us so freaking good.
Dude,
bro.
I think you gotta.
All the time they were just like, oh, where are you staying at? Okay, yeah, you want to take this train over here, go over there. One guy, we left Yankee Stadium at 11:30, Matt, after a night game. We're in the Bronx, right? And I got this Southern accent, and I had a temper when I was younger. I raised by my dad. It's like somebody looks at you the wrong way, bro, sucker punch them.
Things gotta go down.
And I'm walking around the Bronx, right? And I go down into the subway, and there's a security guard behind this bulletproof glass in this thing. And I said, hey, man, a quick question. How do we get the train back to Queens? Because that's where we're staying. He said, well, you want to take this train down here, hop on at this station, and you can go across. But I don't want to tell you to do that and you get mugged. I was like, I didn't get on that train, bro. Like, they're going to eat me alive down here. But overall, though, man, the experience, the stereotypes, and my personal experience, and that's what I judge people on, man. I don't care what you do. I don't care what hobbies you got. If you're good to me, I'm good to you. If you're an ass to me, I'm gonna be an ass to you. It's just the way it is. And people in New York treated us great. In Wisconsin, man, first time we went into I don't want to promote a rival to Quick Trip, so I won't say the name, but we went into a sub shop, right? And it's the first time I ever went to Lambeau. We were just outside of Green Bay, down toward Appleton, and we go in this sub shop, and they said, "What can I get you?" And I said, "Yeah, can I get one of those?" And the girl just grinned. She went, "You're not from here, are you?" And she just kind of smiled, and she was like, "I love your accent." Everybody's like that. They were just so.
Oh yeah, dude, people from Wisconsin love a Southern accent. Does some, yeah. You got to be nicer to them. But like Wisconsin, I feel like it's pretty nice. We got that Midwest nice thing going on. So but like New York, I wouldn't say I'd be afraid, but I wouldn't want to go to New York. Like I'm not, like I don't even like going to Milwaukee. And like I like Milwaukee. It's a great city and like that, because you say these words in Wisconsin, you like to get your house burned down. I like Milwaukee, you know, they got cool things there, but like I don't like driving. Like I get older, Milwaukee traffic is wild. So like if you drive me there, hey, I'm down. But like like my son, we went to the Bucks game the other day. First of all, I want to talk about the Bucks game real quick. I went to the Bucks game with my son. It was, first of all, it was amazing. Big shout out to Brent hooking up those tickets. We were in the what's it called? Anyways, we were in like one of those private areas. Wasn't private, but you know, like you get like shorter lines. It's not like whatever. I forget what it's called. Anyways, but Bucks games, like basketball games, I've only been to 2. They have like, there's never a dull moment. There's always something going on. Like they have like during the commercial timeouts, so like they're just shooting shirts into the crowd's face holes. You know what I mean? They're just like pop, 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 pop. They're just shooting shirts at you, whether you want it or not. You're getting the shirt, bro.
Taking it home.
And then you got what's his face, the mascot man. I forget his name, dude. I'm a little buzzed up, so don't excuse me for forgetting names. But he's over here taking selfies. He's doing. Cause I know Bernie Brewer, right? Bangos is the Bucks guy. I apologize, people hammering. All right, but but like he's over there taking selfies. He's doing all types of stuff. Like they have a rapper come on. There's a timeout. They're over there timing out, right? Getting all ready for the next play. They have a whole rapper over here just like doing a whole song. And he's like, hey, what's up, Milwaukee? I was born and raised here, and now I'm back. And like, you know, Giannis is like, you better wrap it up, bro. No, but it was good. And it was very entertaining. Like everything they just always have like different stuff happen. Like you never know what's going to happen next. Like going to a Bucks game is wild. It's wild. And my son drove me there, so it was good. That was kind of the deal. I got the tickets, you know, row 8, bro. Great tickets. Ridiculous tickets. Seats I should not be sitting in.
Right.
No business sitting in. And so I'm like, I'll bring you to the game. You drive me home.
Absolutely. That's what was so hilarious. We went to the Rams game this year and we got some of the Packernet guys together. And you know, a few of us, I gave away a ticket and we sat in the indoor club seats, right? We're up there at the top of Lambeau, climate control.
Yeah.
That was the game where you busted your keister down there on the ice in the stadium, right? We're up there with our, you know, t-shirts on. So we get a listener a ticket. Me and my wife went. And we had Jacob from Packernet Podcast went with us. We had Justin and his wife were down in the bowl, but we're up there. And I told Jacob, because, you know, Jacob's kind of raised like me, is a little bit, you know, rough around the edges. And I'm like, listen, dude, he'd never sat in the indoor club seats. I'm like, last time they were kind of quiet up there. So just kind of fill the crowd out. You know, you don't want to get too crazy up there. These people pay a lot of money for their tickets. I want to respect everybody. I'm a loud fan.
Yeah.
I want to hoot and
There's some rich folk up there.
Yeah. Bro,
they eat the classy mac and cheese.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and the little
you know what I mean?
right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're sitting there, and bro, by the end of the first quarter, they were rowdy. I was like, oh, dude. I looked at Jav, crank it up, man. Let's go. We're good. People. We're good, baby. And it's funny, the guy behind us, he was so drunk he could barely talk, right? And he was sitting there, and we heard him come sit back down. He went, they cut me off. And his buddy went, what? And he went, they're both trash. He went, they cut me off beer. Like that. You know, I'm using a Southern accent. He didn't say that, but he was just slurring.
Yeah. And, that's all you got.
Jacob said, I might want to go get another beer. They may cut it off quick or whatever. And he got up and he said, I'm going to go grab me one real quick. And the guy said, they ain't going to sell it to you. And Jacob come back with 3 tall boys, bro. 3 tall boys. And that guy looked like he was ready to fight. He was like, why did they sell? What it was hilarious, dude. That crowd was rowdy, man. I was almost to the point where like, hey, y'all chill out a minute. I'm trying to watch the game, and I was nervous about us going out there. So it was awesome, though, man. Awesome experience. So.
Dude, when you go up top, it's great. Like I was there for the primetime game, for Thursday Night Football, and like I had the whole prime like live thing. We had the hotel. We had like we had a tour. Like I met Antonio Freeman. Like it was like a day for like Packer heaven, you know what I mean? Like it was like, why is this happening? It was so cool. And we were up top and like it got a little lit, you know. I had a ride, I had a hotel, and I had a shuttle bus. I think we missed the shuttle bus because we were drinking, but we took an Uber back to the hotel. But either way, like it was like you have a free day drinking, having and you have an Uber, you don't have to drive, you don't have to worry about nothing. Like you have a good time. But yeah, we were up top. I remember because someone made a video of my son because my son was there with me, which was awesome because he's like 21, 22. I don't know how old he is, but he's drinking age, right?
Yeah.
So there's a video of him just screaming, "What's going on? What are you doing?" He's like yelling or whatever. And he's in the clubhouse, like over the railing, just screaming.
Yeah.
And then I asked him, I was like, "Why'd you record that?" He goes, "Oh, you yelled, Rudy Ford is a Hall of Famer." And he goes, and I knew shit was about to pop off. So he started recording. So that's why whenever anyone asks me about Rudy Ford, I'm like, apparently I think he's a Hall of Famer. That's how we get, you know?
Yeah, first clue. Oh, absolutely. Hey, I've been dubbed the president of the Rudy Ford fan club.
Yeah, dude, I am. First of all, dude, I'm just a fan, like fan. Like, dude, people are like, you got to take your emotions out of it. Like, dude, that's all I got. I ain't trying to be on ESPN. Like, I noticed like Instagram page because I started like off Instagram a lot, but I know there's a lot of Instagram pages are turning into like Sports Center, like wannabe Sports Centers, like breaking, like Aaron Rodgers said this on Pat. No, it's not breaking news, bro.
Yeah,
that's just something that happened. And I'm not hating on Instagram Packer pages. You know, they're like 13. I'm not trying to. They're not.
Hey, I don't have to worry about listening or losing listeners tonight. So I'm just gonna.
Yeah, they're not listening anyways. 13-year-olds don't listen to me. No, but like a lot of them, I don't do that like clickbaity stuff like that. I mean, I'll clickbait a little bit like on YouTube. I'm trying to get some people to follow me on YouTube, subscribe. You know, subscribe to me on YouTube. No, but whatever I put in my title, like I say, like it drives me nuts. People on Facebook, like CBS Sports and all these different sports pages. What they do on Facebook, like, you'll never believe what Rodgers said on the Pat McAfee show. Yeah, don't click that link. Go to Pat McAfee's YouTube and watch the video.
Exactly.
It drives me nuts because, like I get some people like, hey, you're blah, 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 Billy Bob over here, excellent writer, do a fantastic job. So when people like Aaron Rodgers goes on the Pat McAfee show, says some stuff, like, I want to know what he thinks. Mm-hmm. But watch the video first.
Right.
So then don't just take his opinion and he's probably great. He's a fantastic, probably the best writer of all time. I don't know. And so I'm not saying anything away from him, but like people are like, oh, Aaron Rodgers said this. Well, like, no, he didn't. Like, oh, that's what they just watch. There's a video. It was recorded. It was captured. It's like you're in the room, like stuck to the wall in the corner. Like you could see the whole thing happen. You don't have to trust this writing that someone made, like a caveman, like on the wall. You know, they're like, is that a spaceship? That looks like an airplane. No, but like,
dude, it's so true. And I do it every Aaron Rodgers Tuesday. Typically in the morning, I'll put a tweet out where I did a poll and said, if there's a TV show that comes on every week that you don't like, do you A, ignore it, B, complain about it, C, watch it, or D, who cares, whatever. And it came back unanimous. It's like, if you like it, watch it. If you don't, move on. Then stop complaining. Like, don't watch it. And
if you don't like it,
like I always share the video clips for the reason you just said, because I will read a headline, I'll read an article, and I'll go, they took one sentence and molded this story around.
Yeah,
and again, I'll put it out there. I'll put it right on Twitter. I'll say, here's, before the media gets a hold of it, here's exactly what he said. You can watch it yourself. And until Pat McAfee says, stop sharing my videos, which he's not going to do, then what's the problem? Oh, they'll, what do you mean by media? Who are you talking about? Why don't you drop me?
Oh, they like that.
Okay. Yeah. Let's meet up behind Lambeau and fist fight. Is that what you want? No, that's not what you want. You want to argue on Twitter and try to act like a tough guy, and I don't have time for it. Block, move on. I'm done. This is what he said, and that's it, man.
Yeah, because people take it. Yeah, they dice it, they slice it, they it is what it is. You know what I mean? But I appreciate everyone who listened to this because it's going to be on the podcast. And if you're listening on the podcast, be sure to subscribe on YouTube. You can watch the video version. You can follow me on Facebook. I have a new website dropping next week, hopefully. Ooh. I don't want to rush the person who's building it. But I have a new website, dude. It's going to be lit. It's going to be good. It's going to be where you can, find all my stuff, podcast, video stuff. Anyways, it's going to be good. I'm excited about it. But big shout out to Quick Trip. big shout out to Clayton. You're a smart individual. And I like that you're killing stereotypes, because around here we figure people who talk like you ain't as smart as you.
Right. Hey, man.
And I'm clowning.
It's been an uphill battle ever since I came out the womb, bro. When they heard me talk, they smacked me on the backside and heard that accent, like this boy's going to have a hard time in life. But when it comes to Packer football, man, all the stuff I know is just I've been a Packer fan since 03. I didn't watch professional football until then. And when I started watching NFL football and like, really, I need a team, I learned about the history of the Packers. And I'm like, man, this is the team I'm going to root for. And ever since then, I've just kind of immersed myself into trying to understand how the business of sports work, why the team does what they do. And I never want to come across like, man, he thinks he's better than somebody or he knows more. No, and I tell people this all the time. So one guy came at me, Matt, and they said, yeah, it's God, what was it? He said, it's press members like you that get bro, I'm a fan with a podcast. That's all.
Dude, that's the funniest stuff, because people say it to me on Facebook because I'm verified and stuff, and they'll be like I'll comment because I just troll like Sports Center and stuff. I'll just say stuff. And they'll be like, oh, someone who's verified and like a reporter shouldn't. I'm like, dude, I ain't a freaking reporter. I work at a cheese factory. I made that comment on break. You know what I mean? Like, I was in the break room at a cheese factory. Like, dude, I am not like it's funny because people like think like whatever. Yeah. People are wild. It's a good time. But hey, big shout out to Clayton. Packernet Packers podcast. I think the Packernet podcast, the Packernet Packers podcast. I'm not sure what it's called. Podcast, yeah. You Google Packernet, and you're gonna see this guy right here. Probably not. But you're gonna see the logo for sure. But check out their podcast. They do a podcast every single day, huh? One of you guys do?
Yeah. Ryan does. Or
one of you people. I don't know if you have any ladies over there.
Ryan
get canceled out here.
He's the godfather, the founder of the podcast, and he tries to do a show every day, and that's really what got me listening to him. One of, if not the most knowledgeable Packer fans that I've ever listened
for sure.
The Packers, and yeah, we just jumped on board with him. So I do 4 shows a week. He tries to do in some instances he does 2 shows a day because he does Packernet After Dark.
Yeah, I get the notifications because I got him on Apple, and like it's like every dude. You know what it does? I don't listen to him all the time because I listen to on my way to work every now and again or whatever. I don't listen to a lot of podcasts, but like every time that notification pops up, I'm like, you ain't shit because you ain't making podcasts like that. They have like 4 popping off a day. You're like, yeah, 4 popping off a day. I was like, man, I got to make a podcast, bro. I got to say something. I don't even have nothing to say, but I got to say something.
Maddie, I'll tell you this though, man. I will say this. Ryan is the reason that I found out about your podcast. He, I had asked him a long time ago, and he'd mentioned on his podcast, he said, I like Matt Ramage. I like this guy. I like that guy. And he mentioned you. And I'm like, let me check out this Matt Ramage show. Bro, he was spot on because nobody wants to listen to a depressed podcast like you
miserable city.
Yeah, you want to learn about the team, but you want to have fun. You want to enjoy this. We wait all year long for the NFL season to start, and then the second it starts, there's a select number of the crowd that's like, yeah, this is horrible. Fire everybody, blah. I'm like, but he told me, he said, man, listen to Matt Ramage. Matt Ramage is always upbeat. He's always cutting up. And I've been a fan ever since. So I can't tell you, what an honor it is for you to invite me on the show, man. I was really surprised. That's why I was like, honey, cancel the plans. I'm going on Maddie's show. We're going to light it up. So I really appreciate it.
We're going to do it again. Cause like Ryan, I think we got a good vibe. No, but I always say, I think Ryan's the best. Like, I think he's probably the best Packers podcaster. Like you could argue like certain guys here and there, or whatever that are also really good, but Ryan, he's just good, and he's so determined. He puts out so much. He's working so hard. And I remember because a guy I've told Ryan this story a lot, but there was a guy at one of my supervisors at my job listens to Ryan all the time. He doesn't listen to my stuff. He's like, oh yeah, Ryan mentioned you on this podcast today. I'm like, oh, for real? And I'm like, do you listen to mine? And he's like, what? I'm like, maybe I mentioned you. You don't know. Like what? Why? Like I appreciate Ryan mentioning me, but still tells me that you're listening to his podcast, and I know you ain't listening to mine.
See if I cover your shit.
But I was like, yeah, pumped up, Pack Daddy mentioned me on the old pod. No, I think Ryan's the best to do it. Most determined. He's because he's kind of like me, but he gives you information. He goes on some rants, he does his thing. He's like the smarter version of me, the more prepared version. Like if I actually wrote stuff down and like I knew stuff to write down, like that's Ryan. He's like,
I look at Brandy in the chat. Brandy says, my youngest was born in Elizabethtown, Kentucky. I know exactly where that's at. Before my hubby retired.
Oh, so you and Brandy are related.
No,
is what I'm hearing.
I'll say this: Elizabethtown, they have electricity, right, and running water. Where I'm from, it's a little bit rougher. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So you got running water over here. Stop
We're
flexing on us, Brandy.
You know what I mean?
Don't be flexing on us, Brandy. All bragging. Look at us with our running water.
We've got a Walmart.
Nah, big shout out to Brandy though, for real. Big shout out to Brandy. You were here like most of the time, probably the whole thing. And I appreciate you over on YouTube. And big shout out to running water. And we got Clayton over here from the Packernet Packers podcast. And big shout out to Quick Trip. If I believe that way tomorrow, you know what I mean? I probably won't even post it. I'll be like, no, this can't. No, I'm gonna post it for sure. All right.